Hi again, everybody. This is Nicole Solis. I apologize for my voice. I've been sick all week. But in this discussion, I'm going to be talking about how Aristotle, the Magna Carta, and James Madison each understood the concepts of freedom and liberty, and also how Madison transformed these earlier traditions into the American principle of religious liberty. In the Politics, Aristotle describes freedom in terms of citizenship and participation. To be free is not simply to be left alone, but to rule and be ruled in turn as part of a political community. For Aristotle, the purpose of the state is to cultivate virtue, because the good life, what he likes to call eudaimonia, can only be achieved in a community that forms moral character. There's no separation between private belief and the public order. The state shapes the soul. Aristotle, in a nutshell, is that freedom equals participation in the political community, and liberty equals living under laws that promote virtue and common good. The Magna Carta, written in 1215, expresses an entirely different idea of liberty from Aristotle. Liberty here is not universal, and it's not based on individual equality or personal conscience. It's legal, corporate, and status based. However, the Charter protects the church, the barons, and certain towns from arbitrary royal power. It guarantees rights like due process, security of property, and limitations on taxation. In Christianity and the Common Law, Augusto Zimmerman points out that the Magna Carta does not invent new rights. Instead, it restores older rights understood to come from Christian moral order and natural law. Its foundational claim is that even the king is bound by the law because law reflects a higher standard of justice. In this framework, freedom equals protection from the king's unchecked authority, and liberty equals a system of rights and customs inherited by specific groups. So the Magna Carta does not assume that all people are equal. Its protections are corporate, not universal, and it protects status, not conscience. James Madison, in Memorial Remonstrance, redefines liberty at its foundation. Madison argues that conscience is a natural right given before civil society because our duty to God precedes our duty to the state. No government can command belief, and no majority can decide religious truth. James Madison, in Memorial Remonstrance, redefines liberty at its foundation. Madison argues that conscience is a natural right given before civil society because our duty to God precedes our duty to the state. No government can command belief, and no. Therefore, freedom for Madison is the interior ability for a person to follow their own conscience. Liberty is the political order that protects that freedom from government coercion. To summarize, unlike the Magna Carta, Madison's rights are universal, not class based. Unlike Aristotle, Madison believes that the state cannot shape the soul because the soul is accountable to God alone. Madison writes, religion is wholly exempt from the cognizance of civil society. This means that the state must not attempt to enforce or privilege religion, because doing so destroys the very freedom that makes genuine faith possible. So Madison essentially transforms Western political thought by identifying religious liberty as the foundation of all other freedoms. If the state can control conscience, it can control everything else. Thus, Madison makes liberty universal, rooted in the equal moral standing of every person. Thank you so much for listening and putting up for my raspy voice. This research for my Development of Western Freedoms class will help the completion on my dissertation, a spiritual biography of James Madison. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks. Bye.